Hello, everybody. Welcome to Friday at 10 o'clock at our live Facebook Live. So let me see. Sorry, my phone fell down, and of course that just throws everything off when you're trying to get ready. So hopefully you could all hear me. So first of all, I want to say thank you very much for the support and the words over the last few days, last week or so, when my mom has been in her last few days of battling with cancer. So I really appreciate that, because I haven't really been home, and I got back on, I was back on last Friday night, Saturday morning, I guess, actually. But and I was very fortunate to have been there when my mom was actually having her last couple of days where she was actually alert. So that was really good. I feel very fortunate for that. And my parents live in California, so I don't see them, and I'm in Toronto. So I haven't seen a ton of my mom in the last 3 years since she was diagnosed with brain cancer. So, but it ironically, you think it's a rare thing, and then you discover that there's all these people that have had similar battles. And I know that there's probably at least 3 people in this group who have been kind enough to share that with me. And I have to say, it's not a pretty battle. It really wasn't. I'm sure, as many of you know, that which I didn't know when she started this battle, was that having cancer, it's the treatment that's like the bad part, not even so much the cancer, because she ended up with brain damage and normal pressure hydrocephalus, which is can often be confused with dementia and a bunch of other things. And so she was she's been in a wheelchair. She thought she could walk, all this kind of like frustrating sort of stuff for her and for my dad. So anyway, I really appreciate your kind words of wisdom and support. So it did not go unnoticed. So thank you so much for that. So when I was away in California last week, there was what would you call it? Like a post on another big group called Real Estate Hacks, which is a great group if you're involved in it. There's a few people that I think are in this group that are there, and a few stagers. It's mostly realtors, some mortgage brokers, and people who were related in the industry. But it's a pretty interesting group. Some interesting stuff comes up, and given that my husband's a realtor, I find that there's a lot that we sort of have in common. And obviously, we're both in the real estate industry, even as a stager. So you're keen to know what's going on, right? So what happened in this group was, and I don't usually comment a whole heap because, it's often realtors, and I don't know enough about that. But there was a guy who complained about having a stager, and I'm not sure if I know the stager but I know it's in my area, but so I wouldn't want to guess who it was, and they didn't do anything wrong. But this guy decided, like, he hired the stager for the consultation. He then decided that he didn't want to pay for the full amount of staging because it was I think the price point wasn't big enough for him to want to pay for it. So he ended up going and doing getting an invoice a few weeks later for the consultation, and he posted in this group that this had happened, and he was complaining that he shouldn't have to pay for it. And I'm like, okay, we can't have that going on here. Anyway, he posted that. I made a comment, and several other people did. I think it ended up with like 145 comments, and then he turned off the comments because people were getting kind of, I was getting frustrated because it felt like, I can't understand why you guys don't think that you should pay for a service that was delivered. But what came out of it for me, and then was the subsequent post that I posted about my sort of frustration with it, was that perhaps we needed to be looking at what we deliver for our agents and our sellers in a consultation a little bit differently, or do we need to communicate it better? And I think sort of what came out of it for me was the importance of having more consistency across the board. And so I thought we could talk about that today. I'm totally cool for you guys to just jump right in. I'm not going to teach anything specifically. I don't really want to get into what's better and what's not from my perspective, because I have my opinions on what the consult should be. Although I say that and I probably won't be able to stop myself from saying what I think. But I just think that maybe we should sort of be rethinking this a little bit and thinking about, what we actually deliver to our sellers. And I think, to me, there was this big red flag, which I have actually at the bottom of my list of things to say, but I think this is actually a really important one. Hi, Trudy. I think what's really important, hi, Michelle, hi, Penny, is that we need to engage with our agents, and we have to really look at the consultation as it's customer service. Like, we're providing a service and we are getting paid for it. Absolutely, hands down, no questions asked on that. But there's some customer service maybe that we need to make sure that we're consistent with across the board when we are actually delivering the consultation, or even talking about the consultation to our sellers and to our agents. So I think the big thing, so that's that's an outcome and maybe an action thing that we can all do. But I think there's also some things about consistency. So I can honestly tell you, like, now I train, I have my own program now, and I teach how to do the consult, and I teach a walk and talk format. It's not really about the format that works. I personally love it, and I can't understand why anyone wouldn't else love it, because I find it really absolutely does work. But and it makes me feel so much better about the product in the end and the outcome. But that's not really what this is about. This is about making sure that we are, no matter how we deliver it, that we are delivering the same thing, and that there's consistency. And so when half the population of realtors are thinking, well, I want it free and I don't think I should pay for it, they're not obviously seeing value. So somewhere along the line, we have dropped the fact that we actually really provide value to our clients in the consultation. Now, I've talked a lot about the consultation, as you know, and part of what I really truly believe is that the consultation is more important than the actual showcasing of the job. When you do the consultation for your client, you are, in essence, being a solution provider, and you are giving them every opportunity to make the most amount of money on the sale of their property. And so with that in mind, I think we have to kind of make sure we're all on the same page, and that's what we're doing. So to me, and I'm sure that you guys agree with this, there would be no reason in my mind that an agent would think that that would be free when they know that, and apart from that being free, why they wouldn't be paying for it anyway, or hiring you and having their seller pay, who cares? But that they are not encouraging their seller, demanding, well, that's not really fair, but not demanding, but like really expecting that their sellers all have a consultation, because we have this opportunity, and they have this opportunity to ensure that their sellers make every penny that's accessible to them. And let's face it, like if you're having a consultation, if you're selling your house, it's because of one of three things for the most part. Very seldom is it because they want to move up the ladder. Most of the time it's like about finances, about debt, it's about death, and it's about divorce. And so those things are all related. They all get tangled up in money. And so the more that we can, if we know that, the more that we can make their clients money and them money, the better. So I think there's some education that we need to do in order to make this, just a standard expectation across the industry that at the very least they're having that consultation, because we really can do so much for them through that and make them so much more money. Hi, Ellen, and so that's my kind of beef. Like that's that's not my beef is that they don't get that. So if they don't get that, why are they not getting it? I think they're not getting it because either we're not all doing it the same, or we're not telling them that. So I think we have to decide as an industry, and I'm telling you, we are so fortunate to have the kind of community and camaraderie that we have, that we're not always looking at each other as competition. I get healthy competition, but we're looking at, we look at ourselves as more of an industry. And the better that we can communicate what we do, the better off the industry will be, the better off our sellers will be in terms of what they earn on their business as well. But we have the potential to really grow and secure the industry. And sometimes, in fact most often, it's the negative things that come into play like this that actually drive you to do things better. So consistency, I think, is really key. And you guys can tell me, like, talk away, like, throw in what you do and your 2 cents, and I'll try and read it. I can ever see it on my computer. I have to look at my phone for the I don't think it shows up. Let me just see if that reloads, and then I can actually see the questions if there's any. Excuse me. Okay, that's because I'm looking at PowerPoint. There's no reload on PowerPoint. Okay. Reload this page. Let's see if that works. And hopefully I'll get some questions. Oh, no, that's not it. Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay. All right. So if you have any questions, they'll either show up here or I'll see them on the screen. But so basically, or your thoughts, because I really like your thoughts on this too. I'm not in this alone. This is all of us together. So, so when we talk about consistency, from my perspective, when I'm talking about consistency, it's, when I hear people say that they do a consultation of 45 minutes, I have to tell you, I can't imagine how, and I can't imagine what information they leave on the table if they are only there for 45 minutes, because I'm usually at a consultation for at least an hour and a half to an hour and 3/4, maybe even a bit longer depending on the size of the property, but at minimum an hour and a half. Now, I know that I can talk a lot, and my talking is usually kind of like building a relationship, which again, I really thoroughly encourage, because when you're building that, you have this opportunity of a 2-hour interview window. This is your opportunity to sell them on your value, your long-term value, not just your ability to do a consultation, but your ability and to make them money, but your ability to help them decorate in their next house, to be their stager for when they sell that next house, and to have a long-term relationship with them, that they refer you to other people. So you really want to build that relationship. So I find 45 minutes is just not long enough to do that, but it's so not long enough to give them the information that they should be getting in order to make a difference on the sale of their house. I think that we need to go into every property and look at it as it's that this is a one-off service. This isn't a means to an end, even though I just did say you're building a relationship. But if you look at it from the perspective of you're being paid a fee to go in and give these recommendations and to help these clients make the most amount of money on their house, you're going to help them to prioritize. Everybody runs into limitations with time, resources, being physical help and budget. And, they need to get the house on the market quickly because another one's going up and they need to get it done, or they need the money out quick. They might not have a lot of cash, like credit or anything to spend a lot. So we need to be able to help them to prioritize. And that's not hard for us because we know what they need to do. We know where they can best spend their time and their budget in order to make money. And I think when we look at things like, what was I going to say? Well, let's skip that point because it'll come back to me. But so I think it's very important that we are thinking in terms of what is going to help them to sell their property, and where they can make the most money, where we can help them as well. So, which is really upselling. So we're looking for opportunities to upsell what we do and to be able to get more business from them. But all that builds on the value that you give them in that consultation. So all the information you give them, all the resources that you can provide them, all the strategizing that you can do for them, you're like this huge wealth. And so what if it takes you an hour and a half to 2 hours? You're going to make, if you feel that that consultation at 2 hours long or an hour and 3/4 should be valued at $350, then it's valued at $350. That's what you charge. But if you're doing 3/4 of an hour, I really question what actually you're able to give them that is valuable enough that they think that they should be paying for it, that their realtor thinks that they should be paying for it. And I don't think that that's always about having a report. Now, I have a report, and my clients are the ones that fill out the details, we walk together and do it. But I don't think it's the report that matters. So I think when agents tell you they need a report or they want to see a report, that's kind of crazy because they really just need to know that you were there, that you gave their clients recommendations, and they'd like to know what the key points are. Sometimes. I rarely have an agent ask for it anymore, and because they know their clients have been left for a good amount of time with the information that they're most going to need and that's the most valuable. So that's the kind of reputation you want. When you work with realtors and you do that, then a realtor's never going to think this is free because there's too much value in it for it to be free. I've had conversations with realtors since this post, and they were shocked. I had a couple actually message me and say they couldn't believe that there were agents, and these were agents I didn't know, that they couldn't believe that agents were being so cheap. And now that also says to me, not every agent is an agent you want to work with. You want to work with an agent who actually really values what you do. So, that's a par for the course. But in terms of what we can deliver, so I think consistency is really key. And I think starting with 45 minutes is not really long enough. if you can do it in 45 minutes, then I think you're skipping things, and I think you need to go deeper. And that will sell value. That will ensure that realtors don't think that it's ever free. I think it's also really key when you are talking to a realtor, and let's say it's somebody new, or even if it's not someone new, but feel like you need to refresh them, we have to be really clear on our terms, like and the details of what we're going to do, like how long we're going to be there, what they're going to get for that $200 or $300 investment. And so they need to know what those are going to be. When you start talking about what the deliverables are, it makes a huge difference. I can think of an example with them. I probably used this example before with you guys, but when I was doing, I used to work with a team, and I used to do all their consults, and they were, this was when I was probably a year and a half into my business, and actually no, maybe a year in my business. And I was excited because they were a great team. They're really busy, and the owner of the team was super excited. But then what was happening was, I think she sort of backed off a little bit on managing the team, and her husband sort of took over. And I think she got a promotion in her brokerage, if I remember correctly. And I would go and do these consults, and they had like probably half a dozen agents in the team. I would go and do these consults, and I would ask the client, so, you're working with so-and-so, this is your agent or whatever, or who is your agent that you're working with? And they wouldn't know the name of the agent that they were being signed up with. Like, they'd know the team, but they wouldn't know the agent's name. And I kind of, that was a bit of a red flag for me, because I thought, that's not really, to me, customer service if your clients are just like numbers, and you send out agents and they just sign them up. The other thing that was a big red flag was that I was always getting called in the day before, and sometimes the day of them going on the market, and which was very frustrating to me, because I couldn't give their clients any of the recommendations they needed that were going to make the money. I was kind of stopping them. I would give them things, and then I would overwhelm them because they couldn't do anything with the information I gave them. And it turned out that the team wasn't very happy with the consultations I was giving. And I even had another stager go and do a consultation for me at one point as well. And they did the same thing with the other stager, that they didn't want me to give their clients recommendations because they didn't actually want their clients to do the work. And I realized that the problem with that was twofold. One is that they were not a team that I want to work with. But more importantly, I had never set out the parameters of what a consultation really is, how long I'll be there, what I'm going to do. And I don't care if they are if they've agreed to do the work and they're unhappy with that. This is what I know their clients need to do in order to get their house ready to sell. And so we stopped working together. I just stopped saying, I kept saying I was busy and I couldn't do it. And I think they found someone else, or they may have even stopped, because that's what our job is when we do a consultation. So the point being, you really have to advertise. Hi, Wendy. You really have to, not advertise, but you really have to make sure that your agents, and especially if you're going to work with agents and your goal is to have relationships where you continue to work with them, you have to make sure that they really understand what the value is and the purpose of the consultation is, what they're paying for, so their deliverables, because that helps them to sell you and your value as well. And that's, we all want that. Like if our agents can be on our side and sell our value and like get their sellers to be on board to work further with us, then, that's hugely important. Hi, Karen. So that's very important. So it is really critical, I think, that we get on the page of really communicating with our realtors. Now, one thing that really annoyed me about this guy in this post was that he was clearly said he's worked with this stager before, and he's worked with other stagers before. So I was quite pissed off, to say the least, that he was going on about not paying, and that this was a new thing that he wasn't, that why should he pay her? And I'm thinking, well, you've worked with this person and other stagers, so you pay for a consultation. Like, that's ridiculous. And a lot of the comments were about, she should have told him, and that, and all this drama going on. And so then they're asking me, well, don't you think that was like poor business? And I'm like, no, that's not poor business of her, because I think it was her, because she had the expectation of being paid. She set this expectation before working with this agent. So here's one of the things that I think went wrong, because I don't know who the agent was or who the stager was, but I think one of the things that went wrong was that they did not communicate clearly the details of like what they do. I'm not saying this is the stager's fault, by the way. I'm saying this is how we can improve what we do. So be really clear with your agents what this is all, what you do in your consultation, what they should expect, how long you're going to be there, that you want both your sellers to be there as much as you can. You want to have their presence and their commitment to being there. And just like if you had, for example, if you guys have ever had like window sellers at your door, when they book an appointment, they always ask you, or any of those big guys actually, they always ask you, are both of you going to be there to make the decision, to be able to see what we're going to talk about and to be able to make decisions? And I'm not saying that's what you have to do in the consultation, but it makes a big difference when you set the stage and the expectation of what you want to see, because this is going to bring them the value that they're looking for. So that's the first thing, is setting that expectation. And then when we do it with consistency, then even better. So I think what happened with this client, with this stager, as I said, I'm surmising this because I don't know for sure. And I certainly wouldn't call anybody out because I don't think anybody did anything wrong. But I think what's happening is that there are stagers, and I think it's a combination of being taught how to do a consultation and do it this way, and also using it as an opportunity to bring more value perhaps, or be more appealing than another stager to be hired. And that is by, doing the consultation, and if you get the job, you don't charge for it. So here's what I really think needs to happen. Charge for your consultation, and don't give money back here. Like, you could give them a consultation and then say, I'm going to give you, if you go through with the job, I'm going to give you 5% off, or I'm going to give you an extra basket of accessories, or, something like that. But don't give them the consultation free, because what they think is that they get it free. And they think they don't pay, but I know they pay, they pay, because we know we've had it at the other side. But their perception is that there's no value in this, and there's no value in the consultation because it's free. And if you're not going to give it to me free, stager, then I'm going to go to the one over there who does. Now, I get that that's like marketing, and that's like trying to get you the job. But at the same time, what it's doing is it's diffusing and deflating the value that we give as a consultation, because their expectation as a realtor is, well, so-and-so gives it free and I can get it free, so why would I pay? And so I worry a lot that what's happening in the consultation is that people are not getting enough information, are not getting everything that they should, that we're holding back on information because we know we're not going to get paid a lot, or we know that that it might just be free. And so I think it's really important to really be careful about how you do that. So I think the better way to do that, as I said, is to have them pay for the consultation. If they go forward with the staging, then give them something in the staging as an incentive, but not that the consult is free, because that information is so invaluable to your clients and to your damn agent that I don't like it. You cut your nose off to spite your face, honestly, for the industry and for our value and your value when you do that, because they're thinking, as I said, that it's free. And when people get something for free, they don't see the value that we need them to see. Now, I will tell you honestly, I don't teach to do that at all. I teach that you do the consultation, you get paid for the consultation, and then you do your staging. I have never had anyone say to me, but aren't I going to get the consult free because you got the staging? No, because I set the parameters straight up from the beginning. They know that I'm going to bring value, and that value is worth, $300 to them. So they're going to pay the $300, and they know there's the value in the staging, and they can't dispute that because they've seen it, they know it, you've demonstrated it to them. And so I think don't be afraid of like standing on your 2 feet and just say, and telling them that this is not you have to be mean or hard or anything, but just the consultation is this much, and I bill the consultation right up front, and then I'll give you a quote for doing the showcasing, and that's it. And there's never an argument. I mean, like you have absolute pure value, and you should get paid for both those things. There should never be giving away. That also leads to the whole fact, and I'll just do this as a little bubble up here because I don't think that anybody does this. not if they've talked to me, they don't, is do not ever give your consultation away as a gift or a freebie or anything like that. I don't know what it is about giving the consultation away free, but the only people that ever do it are the people who will never do it again because it's not going to be free again. And so you want people who want more from you. So perhaps it is that you hire me on your next job and I'll give you a basket of, you'll get a thing of, I don't know why I can't say it, a crate of accessories complimentary next time. Or something like that, or give them like, how coffee shops do it and, buy 5 and get 1 free or 1 half price, or get, or buy in bulk, but you buy ahead and buy 5 consultations and pay for only 4 or something like that. So if you need, that's really good to do if you're in cash flow crunch or something like that, and you want to make sure that you've got some things booked. But the thing is to just like make sure that we're giving our clients the best. So if you guys have any thoughts, please jump in. I'm happy. Like, this is just my opinion, but I would love to hear what you have to say about that as well. So making sure, yes, that's good, Karen. I think, so if you're in Burlington, you should be going for like a consultation should really only be about 2 hours long anyway, max, unless you have a really big house and then you're gonna charge more. But for Burlington, you could be charging a lot more than that. I would say probably $275, probably $250 at the very least, and probably $275 would be absolutely fine in the Burlington area. There's a lot of stagers who charge over $300 in that area, so I think you'd be fine with that for sure. Good, Trudy. I'm glad you agree. So this is like, so I feel like we have an opportunity here to then make sure that our agents know this, and that and it's not about that we don't go telling them you're not going to get it for free, but we make sure that up front when we're talking to them, when we're selling our value and we want to work with them, that this is how we work. That we do a consultation. And one of the things I really would encourage you to do, if you don't do it already, is to get paid for your consultation at least the day of especially with a new agent, the day before the day of your consultation, so that you're not worrying about being paid. Now, often what I'll do is when an agent calls me and it's someone I haven't worked with before and we're going to do a consult, I right away put them into my calendar and I do right away send them an invoice. And I kind of lie a little bit because I say, as soon as I put it into my calendar, it triggers it to do an invoice, and it triggers me to do the invoice, and I send off the invoice. And I'll say that it's and I'm clear with them. So there's no, and I say that to them on the phone call when I'm booking the consultation. So there's no expectation that I'm going to bill you later. I'm going to bill you right now. As soon as I put it into my calendar, I automatically will send an invoice to you, and you can pay by credit card or e-transfer. And that way, if that there's no surprise. And they know how, and that also gives me an opportunity to say that, and the fee for the consultation is, so when you're talking to them and they're asking in that first phone call, that was very first few words, and they say, I hear you do consults, how much are they? You can very much say, well, so here's what we do in a consult, and here's the value here's what your client will get from the consultation. And it's usually lasts about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And the fee for that is $275 or $300 or whatever it is. And the fee for that is this. And so what I'm going to do is I will put you in and book you in on the day. And as soon as I do that, I'll also send you an invoice as well. And you can pay online with that invoice or a e-transfer. And that way, so when on the day of the consultation, it triggers another reminder that sends to them just to remind them that they haven't paid their consultation fee yet. Now, I do know now, and that's just kind of like, that makes it really straightforward for you to know that you get paid, and for them to know that they're going to get charged how much, and that and there's nothing free in there. There's no bonus at the end. You can tell your agent up front, what we do is as part of the process is we will do the consult, and at the end of the consultation, I'll talk to your clients about budget and what they're prepared for, and I'll put together a quote for them as how we can help them with the sale of their house further. And I don't say anything about like a discount or anything, but you could, if you wanted to, at that point say, and if your clients go along with the staging, because you're paying for it, Mr. Agent, I'm going to throw in a $200, $100 bonus creative accessories. And that bonus crate could just be that it's like, it's not really a bonus. It's part of their order, but you're going to give them $100 off or something like that. And you can make that, you can do that easily on a staging job as long as you're pricing the way that you should. But you don't have to do that. You really don't have to do that. People pay thousands of dollars. Do you think that they're going to in the end be worried about a consultation fee? Those are the agents who are cheap, and they're the agents who want a deal, and they're not necessarily the agents who are going to love working with you. So anyway, that's that. So I think it's really about making sure that everybody is on the same page and there's no pretending, and that there's no worrying about the fact that they got what they get what they need, and that you are going to deliver a valuable product to them. The other thing too is, and this kind of comes up as well, because I think that this sort of thing also arises with agents who have not been made clear on the process, is about paying for or not paying for a quote. Now, I really don't like to use the term consult for giving a quote, because it's not a consult. It really is, you're just going to get the information to give a quote. And I know that stagers do charge a deposit fee or some kind of a fee to ensure that their time is covered, because you can be running around doing an awful lot of vacant quotes. So I get that, and I think that's a business model decision. But whatever you do need to make sure that your seller and your agent know that that's what you're doing, that it's very clear, because we don't want to get a reputation as being, everybody's different, and we want to make sure that there's an expectation of agents and sellers that's what we're doing. So I think that's important also to keep in mind. And as I said, that's a business model decision for you, and you can, and I totally get where that comes from. If you're busy doing vacants all the time, you could just spend your entire day on the road. So you need to make sure that you're actually getting business. There's something happening there. The other thing that I thought was very interesting, and this has come up before for me, and you guys can tell me what you think, we certainly did in the posting, about the idea of whether or not we call the consult something different, and is a consult enough? Because I feel like when we are talking to sellers and we're giving them all these recommendations, that we're actually, and I think Tricia Stokey calls it this, that we're actually giving them an action plan. That it's not just a report or a list of things to do. We have an action plan for them. We prioritize for them. We've worked with them specifically to get their list of things that they need to do to get done. So I think that might be something to think about as well, and we can sort of chew on that a bit and see if that's worth changing. Because one of the things that came out of this post on this real estate hacks group was the idea that, first, that they were comparing what we do, in a consult, to what a plumber does when he comes to give you a price or quote. And I was like, what? And I think that was sort of the beginning of the end for me. Really? And, we're not plumbers, and we're not coming to give you a quote. We were hired to do a job, we were hired to bring our expertise, and, that's what we're there to do. So I think, that consult thing, of using that word, sort of confuses people into thinking that it's something different. It's kind of lightweight. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but it's a bit too lightweight for the information that we deliver, and what our good agents are expecting us to be able to do. So is the consult the right way to put that, or is it an action plan? Is it something different? So that's something to think about. And I guess the other thing from that is really just to make sure that we are that we know what our next steps are, and that we can educate and continue to talk to our agents. So, making sure that our agents know exactly what we're going to do in a consultation, but then using that opportunity and that information to maybe when we are doing a lunch and learn, or you have an opportunity at if you're in a team meeting or a brokerage meeting, or you're meeting with agents, that you talk about what the value of the consultation is. And I know that sometimes the value of the consultation is uniquely your own as well, because because you know that you're able to bring something really special to the table. But I think at the bottom line is that we are giving their clients, everything they possibly need in order to get ready to sell, and we're helping them to prioritize, and that we know what the cost is, and we know what it doesn't really matter what the format is. It doesn't really matter that it's a walk and talk or traditional or even virtual for that matter. It's just that we set the expectation and that they know and they see value in what we're doing, and that there's not this idea that we're comparable to a plumber. Because the other comment was, well, maybe as agents we should be charging for a listing presentation. And it's not the same thing. And this is why I also think that it's important to go into your consultations not looking at it as a means to end, but looking at it as an independent service that you've been hired to do. It's part one of the staging process, of the entire staging process for the client. And it can end at part one as well. So you want to make sure that you give your clients everything that they need in that 2-hour period. That doesn't mean give away your staging plan, but it means give them the tools that they need and the information they need to go forward. So that's really what I just wanted to spew off for my 25 minutes or whatever that was. So if you guys have any thoughts, I would love to hear them, because I would, I continue to want to morph this. We're such a growing industry and we have so much potential ahead of us. So, is there a better way for us to position ourselves in that consultation? And I know that some stagers have found, and because agents know a lot now what you're going to say. So there are agents who, and in particular geographic areas where staging has really become a mainstay, where the agents really want you to go in and truly give a quote, even on an occupied home, and they don't want the information. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I find it difficult. I did it a few times about 3 years ago, and got myself burned because I gave too much information away. But I also felt that what was happening was I couldn't just go in and give a quote, because I needed to know that the client, the seller, was going to have the house ready when I came back with my team to stage. And if I hadn't given them a list of things to do, A, they wouldn't be ready for me to stage, and B, they would be in a position of not being able to make as much money as they should. And that jeopardizes what I can do for them and what my job is to do for them as a stager, and, giving them all that information. So I think, that was something that I really sort of, I know it's a hard thing to kind of grapple, because agents are a bit too savvy sometimes and they know what's going to happen in the consultation, and they can sort of say, well, I don't want to pay for a consultation. So for me, what I ended up doing was I would go and do the quote. I would be prepared to talk about what's going on in the house because I needed them to know. And then I built that fee into the staging fee. Except that the bad thing about that is if they end up for some reason not staging with you, then you've lost out on a consultation fee, which you deserved. So I don't know. I don't think it's the best way to go, and unless you give them, I was going to say a generic list of things to do, but that's not good either, because when you come back to stage, if they haven't done everything, I guess what you could do in that case is you could get the quote, give them the quote. If they go with the quote, then you can say the quote includes a consultation to come back, so that you can give them a consultation and get paid for the value and the information that you're going to give them, because they need to do it in order to get ready for you as well. So you could do that. And but at that point, you're not giving a consultation and the recommendations until you know that they're going ahead with staging and they've paid you. So that you could do that way. I just stopped fiddle-assing around with it, and I just started, saying no. I have to start with the consultations. I can't stage without them having had the consult. So anyway, so that's the sort of gist of it. As I said, love to get your feedback, and I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone have any Q&A about anything like pricing, the consult, the staging, like getting the client to convert them to staging, anything that you want to ask me. I'm happy to answer. I know there's a few interesting questions this week in the group about warehousing and stuff like that. So if there's anything you want to ask, I can stay here for as long as you need me. All right, and then I'll go have my coffee. Oh, I haven't had that yet. No wonder I'm talking too fast. All right, any questions? Let me see. No questions. Yeah, so we have a little small group on here today. But what I'm going to do with these Facebook Lives, I think I have actually a whole list of people that I haven't approached yet, but to do Facebook Lives with me, and we can talk about specific topics. So not just things that I can talk about, but there are some like great resources within this group. And I'm going to sort of tap them on the shoulder and see if they'll do a Friday Facebook Live with us. And then you can, we'll get some really interesting perspectives on things from other people. So it'll be kind of fun. So if any of you are particularly feel like that you're an expert, and that you have some information that you want to give, and you want to share and talk about, let me know, because this is guest spot, the weekly guest spot for stagers, and what I'm doing with them, then you'll have access to it as well. Is what I'm doing with them is that I post them all on my YouTube channel. And so if you want to go and watch more of them, or you want to watch the whole thing, or you want to watch other videos on YouTube, because they're all kind of more like this, but not as informal, then you can sign up and subscribe to the channel, and you'll get notified when there's new stuff on there too. So it'll be good. So you'll have lots of things. So Karen, I think you always should do a consultation before staging. I totally agree. I think the challenge is for stagers sometimes is that agents start to be a bit savvy, and they don't want you to do it because they think that they don't want to pay for that. They just want you to do the staging, and they think they found a roundabout way to get you to do it. So I think as stagers, I totally absolutely agree that it's impossible to stage when they haven't done the work that needs to be done. And that can be just moving furniture out or around a room for you, but so that you can come and do it. So I think it's like just being confident and making sure that and sticking to your guns, that that's how you work, and recognizing also that if you have a challenge, this is another way that you could get them to go through with the consultation. So Karen, you're also asking, did you advertise directly to homeowners when starting out, or just focusing on agents? I always focused on agents. Agents, the thing about agents, and this is very, very dependent on where you are. Okay. So, because the location it will be kind of key as well. But, where I am in the Toronto area, having, homeowners, like there's lots of homeowners that they're savvy enough now that they'll start to hire you. But a homeowner is only going to be able to bring you one job. And an agent is going to be able to bring you many. And when you think that there are someone told me the other day, there's now 54,000 agents in the GTA. My God, an awful lot of agents. There is no point to us marketing to all of those, but we know who those agents are. So if you don't know who the homeowners are going to be, other than you can use the cues that agents would use, which is often that there's a bin in front of their house, that they're doing work and they seem to be doing it fast. That can be a giveaway that a seller is potentially wanting to use you. But you could be just like, marketing to the masses. But if you know that an agent is going to be able to give you enough work, like if an agent, I don't know if Ginny's still on here, but how many agents you actually, like how many jobs your agents actually give you in a year, your good agents. 6 to 10 agents should keep you busy all year if they are agents that are committed to using you on all their listings and they get you to do consults for all their listings. They could potentially keep you busy all year long with just 6 to 10 agents. Now you're going to want more than that, but just to say that they can keep you pretty busy. And so with those 6 to 10 agents, they're going to make you a lot of money. And you've proven your value to them. They know you. They have a relationship with you. They trust you. You enjoy working with them because you were selective about how you targeted your agents. So you can't do the same thing with a homeowner. And so for sure, an agent is going to get you more impact. Now, you could, if you wanted to have a niche, like if you were going to really look for a niche in how you stage, and, because I have a couple of students, one who's like focusing on not I shouldn't say rental properties, but holiday properties, and they've also done some flipping with those properties. So and a lot of renos, and so she has a particular niche. So she's not going to be necessarily marketing to an agent. She'll be doing it a bit differently. So when you have a niche, then you can, and you have something specific to sell, then you know that you're also going to have a market that you can be specific to, and that doesn't necessarily mean agents. So if you were working, like there are some stagers who have been very successful and run off their feet working for builders, and just by fluke have ended up with working for builders who can keep them really busy all year through. And I remember one of my students a few years ago was that's all she did. She was actually an interior designer, and she had decided to take the staging course because she wanted to be able to do she was already doing builders homes, and she wanted now to be able to, like, model homes. She wanted to now be able to do it right. So so then you can market to more builders, and you can do really well. Like, if you're going to be have a specific niche, or flippers, you can market to flippers and be part of the builders community, and that way too. But you want to get the biggest bang for your buck, because the thing is, Karen, you're not in the business of marketing. You're in the business of staging. And if you have to market to too many people with too many and get more people in, then you're going to find yourself spending far too much time marketing and not where your zone of genius is, which is, in the staging. So that's another big important reason too. So Trudy, you haven't really run into that with, I only ran into it. There was one summer but it changed how I did my consults, because I am typically quite trusting of people, and I just assume that, I shouldn't say I assume that we're going to be working together, but I don't assume we're not. So I think it's, so that summer really pissed me off. And I remember one job in particular, I went and quoted on, and it was going to be vacant. I talked to them about what to do. I was giving them a quote for the vacant. I think it wasn't July holiday weekend, but I think it was the August holiday weekend. And we were supposed to be going camping, and I had put off leaving so that I could go do this consult on a holiday Monday. And the next thing I know, and I got a little too detailed in what I was telling them to do, what I was going to do for them when I staged. So I didn't hear back from them. And then all of a sudden I saw the house listed, and it was not how I would have staged it. I mean, they did lose out on that, but they had used pretty much the things that I told them I was going to do. So I just thought, I am not doing that again. And so I changed things and my processes so that I didn't get screwed that way at all. And sadly, that's kind of how things happen. So, but no problem, Karen. So Karen, how long have you been in business in Burlington? Are you brand new? Fun. Starting your staging business. Lots of things to do. I know there's a few people in this group who are brand new to the industry and brand new to staging, and it's a good spot to be in the group, because there's lots of, like, all those people that have come before you and have paved the way, and there's definitely stagers in Burlington and in that community, in the West Toronto, like a really good community of stagers, and they have a good RISA chapter, and who else? I know of several stagers out there, so good spot to be. Okay. All right. Okay. Any other questions from anybody? Should we just call it a day and go off and enjoy in Canada anyway, it's a long weekend. It's a Memorial weekend. Oh, so you took CSP. Okay. That's good. So I don't know if you know this, but I used to teach CSP up until a little bit before that, probably the winter before that. I would have been teaching that. No, I wouldn't have been teaching that class. Christine teaches that one. But good. Well, CSP is a good program, and just keep learning from the people in here in this group as well, because they've come from all different sources. They've taken my program, and they've taken many different ones, and some of them are self-taught. So lots of great information. So always good. All right. Okay, good. So please feel free to message me if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts about topics that you'd like to hear. I'm about to launch something called, I sort of changed the name a little bit again, but Just for Stagers, the Just for Stagers Lounge, which is a membership site, which I will be doing. I have so much pieces of information from over the last year and a half that I've put together in video, and so I'm breaking them up into pieces, into great nuggets. So you'll start to be able to access, and you can access that through the membership group. So that'll be cool too. That's coming soon. But having been tied up for the last 10 days with my mom, I shouldn't say tied up, that's not very fair. Been with my mom for the last 10 days, things kind of got a little scattered. So It's coming soon, okay? And all's good. Oh, and I've also got some really good tools that I'm going to share with you guys in the group as well, free tools, and to help you, especially you, Karen, if you're like new in the business. So if you're new to staging, if you want to grow your business, maybe you're not as happy with the results of your business so far, I've got a great tool. And also, if you're in that position where you want to scale your business, where you're right and just fire at all cylinders. So that too. So I've got three good, cool tools coming up as well, and a couple of challenges. So it'll be fun. It'll be a fun summer. All right, guys. So have a lovely long weekend. If you're in Canada, if not in the States, off to work in the Monday, and we will talk soon. Take care, and thanks for joining me today. Really appreciate it.